And when Commerce Minister issued a statement on 10% US tariffs, it said that India has been placed in the lower tariff bracket. Around 45% of India's export to the US will remain outside the scope of additional tariffs. My colleague Sumitha is joining us with more details on this.
That's right. India has responded to the United States Trade Representative's 10% tariffs under Section 301 investigations. In fact, in a statement that's been released by the Ministry of Commerce, it says that India is placed in the lower tariff tier of 10% from the earlier proposed tariff of 12.5%. And that is why this decision provides a relative advantage to India's exports in key sectors. In fact, the government also suggests that it has been engaged, it has remained closely engaged with the USTR throughout the entire process and investigation through detailed written communications and submissions and in-person consultations as well. In fact, the statement also suggests that a substantial share of India's exports to the United States, that includes sectors like pharma and smartphones, they currently attract zero additional duties, but they remain outside the scope of the additional 10% duty. In fact, it also suggests that products that are already covered under Section 302 measures that include steel, aluminum, and auto parts, they are not subject to the additional 10% duty that USTR has announced. Around 45% of India's exports to the US, they remain outside the purview of the additional 10% duty under Section 301 due to Section 232 duties that are already existing over there. In fact, it says that the remaining 55% of exports are going to attract an additional 10% duty. And of course, in light of all of these developments, the government once again confirms that it remains committed to working with the United States towards an early conclusion of the India-US bilateral trade agreement. Remember, these tariffs were unveiled because the previous tariffs under Section 122, they expired. They were meant to be temporary set of tariffs. And of course, these new set of tariffs, they replace the earlier 10% tariffs. And remember, India, with these 10% tariffs, India is in the same bracket of tariffs as is Pakistan, Bangladesh, the United Kingdom, and Sri Lanka.